Welcome to the Guitar Channel. I am super happy to welcome you a new interview. I am with the one and only Kevin Drost from Reverb. Kevin, how are you doing?
I'm good. How are you?
I'm fine, thanks. How did you survive day one of the NAMM?
You know, it was probably the busiest first day of NAMM that I've seen.
Okay.
We had a lot of people here at the booth, a lot of people just around the show. I'm not sure why, but it was a long and productive but exhausting day.
Yeah.
Yeah.
How many NAMM did you do so far?
So this is the third one that I've been in. But
Kevin, you have to tell me, do you play the guitar?
I've played the guitar I'm 35, so almost 25 years or
Okay.
so. I went to college on a jazz guitar scholarship. I spent time being a performing musician, did a lot of studio work, teaching, then went over and was a talent scout for Sony Music on the
Okay.
record label side, so
Nice.
did a lot of A&R work. And then ran a record company for a while, and then got into doing consulting for other media and entertainment companies, which worked into doing consulting for a lot of technology companies and a lot of music companies, which ended up eventually leading me here to Reverb.
Okay. And what was your first guitar?
My first guitar, so my dad was also a musician, and he loaned me, but I still have it, is a 1965 SG Special with the P90 pickups. Is it SG Special, right?
Okay, nice.
With a busted headstock that it had a clamp on it and a bunch of wood glue. So it would never stay in tune, it's hard to play, but I love that guitar. You
Okay.
know?
The first time we met, it was during the Holy Grail guitar show in Berlin,
Yep.
and it is a completely different atmosphere in Berlin than here in Anaheim for the NAMM show. So how do you compare both events?
They're totally different. So, I mean, part of the reason I really love the Holy Grail show and the whole luthier community is they represent that, that artisanal, boutique, handmade builder,
Yeah.
set of the industry. Which I have quite a few handmade acoustic guitars, and I love the craftsmanship that goes into that, and going to meet those builders, and really, it's more of an art gallery almost than a trade show. Where NAMM, on the other side is very much a trade show. It's where a bunch of great brands, great dealers, musicians also, but performers and everyone else sort of come together to learn about what's new, what products are available. It's much more of a trade show, right? Versus a symposium.
Yeah. What's your favorite boutique guitar builder, if you have to pick one?
So my favorite is a guy named Charles Fox, who he started the American School of Luthery. He's in California. He used to build guitars under a brand called C. Fox. Now he's got another brand. I'm blanking on the name of it, but one of the first, sort of modern, call it California, school of building.
Nice. Is that electric or acoustic?
Acoustic. Acoustic builder.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Nice. Is it a challenge for you to get a boutique guitar builder to come to Reverb to sell their stuff? What can we do for that?
So the benefit of a small builder on Reverb is that they may not have a distribution network.
Yeah.
They may not have a dealer, a dealer network outside of their home territory. So they can come onto Reverb. It's completely free for them to set up their own shop. They can tell their story as a brand. They can present their instruments the way they want to be presented, and we can give them access to a global audience.
Yeah.
We have 8 million unique visitors coming to the site every month, all of which are musicians, most of which a lot of those are guitar players.
Yeah.
And so it just goes much deeper into an active, guitarist community that we can give them a presence to. And even after, the Holy Grail show, I was shocked at how many small luthiers are selling. They may only build 5 guitars a year, and we would see them sell 1, 2 directly on Reverb to maybe they're a builder in Germany selling to America, or somebody in France selling to Australia.
What do you think is the killer feature of Reverb compared to other online selling platforms?
Sure. Well, so we started Reverb because the experience of buying and selling a guitar online there's a lot of pain and frustration in it. From a dealer side, the other platforms, Amazon in the States, eBay, they're expensive, they're cumbersome to work with, and from a consumer side and from a musician side, they're not at all tailored for musicians, right?
Sure.
If you type Fender into eBay, you get a bunch of car parts and maybe some guitars and a bunch of other weird stuff, right? So we wanted to build an experience and a platform that was just for musicians, built by people that really understand the difference between a 1964, deluxe reverb and a 1967 deluxe reverb, and why you might want one and not the other. And so we wanted to, support that community and build a platform and experience for it. And that, in and of itself is maybe the killer difference behind it. And then from a selling standpoint, we just tried to make that much easier, a couple of clicks, a lot of data and content behind that, and then it's honestly a lot more affordable than a site like eBay might be.
Okay. I have the feedback coming from current customer using Reverb that when you are in Europe and when you want to purchase something in the US, it's not always crystal clear what you have to pay after that regarding customs, VAT and so on. What are you doing to make it even more transparent for the end user that there is no bad surprise, when you receive the guitar?
I mean, that's a problem I wish we could solve. Unfortunately, a big part of it is import duty. I mean, VAT's a little standard, but import duties will vary by country and by not just where the instrument's coming from, but where it was made. Like for an example, there are no import duties when a Fender that was made in the U.S. comes back into the U.S.
Okay.
But if it's an Ibanez that was made, say, in Japan, coming in the U.S., there's both taxes and duties.
Even if it's a used one?
Even if it's a used one,
okay.
Right?
Okay.
But even if that's not totally clear, because 9 out of 10 times a customs agent will just let it come through as it is. 1 out of 10 times they'll try to add additional duties or taxes for it. So what we're trying to build out is basically a duty calculator that says, all right, in general, this is from the US, it's coming into France, you're going to expect this much in duties, this much in taxes. It's hard for us to just solve that problem instantly because of all that complexity.
Okay.
But most of what we try to do is, as you're going through that purchasing process, ideally, first off, we'll get enough inventory, say in Europe, where whatever you're looking to buy, you can buy from somebody in France, so you not have to deal with cross-border shipping. But if you do find something in the United States, at least we can provide enough information that says you may be responsible for duties. Reach out to the seller to understand how the information that's required, and then on our side in the U.S., we actually provide the shipping label, fill out the customs information for that seller if they want, and that also helps streamline the process a little bit.
Okay. I discovered when I did the interview with Manuel that there is a very useful tool on the Reverb website, which is the buyer's guide, which is great to have an idea of price of a guitar. Are you going to do a European version of that? Because of course, when we look at it from Europe, we see some very low price, but of course this is the price of the market in the US, which is completely different than what it is elsewhere in the world.
Yeah. So as we get more and more data, that fits into, so one of the key features of Reverb is that pricing guide that says, all right, here's every transaction of 1964 Sunburst Fender Stratocasters and what they sold for. A lot of that data, because we're a US company, is from US transactions, but it's also a lot of inventory is just in the US to begin with. As we do more and more transactions in France and in the UK, we can start to localize a European version of it. The other side of it, though, is as the world becomes more connected, and you have people in Japan buying from people in France, buying from people in Canada, I think you're going to start to see prices equalize a little bit, where you don't necessarily have, maybe 20 years ago, somebody had to fly from Paris to New York, go buy a bunch of guitars, carry them back over to France, and they wanted to charge, they wanted to be compensated for that. It's not real. It still happens, but it's not the way it has to happen as much anymore. And so I think you're going to start to see more of an equal price, excluding the tax piece of it, which then, that's easy to factor into it. But just the scarcity of supply between, say, Europe and America, I think you're going to start to see that equalize a bit as it becomes easier to buy and sell online.
All right. Any cool piece of gear you saw recently on Reverb? I don't know, any interesting stories to share? An incredible guitar, an incredible pedal, amp, I don't know.
Man, we have so much cool stuff on there. Yeah, if you go down Reverb, we have all these curated sets that we go through and say, hey, here's the coolest, great, here's the funky vintage Japanese guitars. Here's Rockstar-owned, gear. The coolest one, and I know we had Stevie Ray Vaughan's Tube Screamer for sale. It may still be on because it was not cheap. It's an expensive pedal.
I suppose, yes.
It may still be there, but that's cool to see, maybe he had 3 of them, and this was one of them, and it's just beat to shit. But you can just kind of see the mojo in it, which is very cool. Man, there's too many good ones to think through, but yeah.
I have a question also regarding regulation. You know that the CITES regulation has changed recently, so is that an issue for Reverb? How do you handle this kind of problem, or is that only the seller's problem and you don't have to get involved in that? So
it's a problem mostly in the confusion that it's caused. I think most governments were sort of taken by surprise a little bit. I'm not sure they really thought through how much rosewood is actually in music instruments, and they're just ill prepared for both the process for issuing permits and the instructions on how to go about doing it. So I'm working personally really closely with the U.S. Fish and Wildlife Agency that handles their permits.
Okay.
We have employees in Japan dealing with the Japanese ministries, in Australia, in Europe, just trying to get some semblance of, all right, how do you want this to work so that we can help educate our sellers, because at the end of the day, it is the seller that's going to have to apply for that permit. And to be honest, thus far, I haven't really seen it enforced yet. And once we do, we'll do as much as we can to help educate people. At the moment, I think everybody's sort of overwhelmed by the whole process of it. And thus far, I've seen plenty of guitars selling cross-border without any issues. Not to say that there wouldn't be issues coming forward. But what we're going to try to do is streamline that process as much as possible, help sellers actually fill out that application, understand what they need to document where the guitar came from, the amount of rosewood in it, work with the various ministries to be able to make that permit approval process as fast as possible to hopefully prevent any sort of confusion or God forbid any issues actually at customs.
Okay. Any exciting projects you can share with us for 2017?
Sure.
It won't get out of the internet, don't worry.
No, I hope that it does. Well, in general, Reverb's just growing really quickly outside of the United States, particularly in Europe. We now have people on the ground in the UK, in France, in the Netherlands. We'll be bringing somebody on in Germany this year. So one part is just building out our European experience, making sure it feels localized and personalized for somebody in Paris versus somebody in Amsterdam. We're also launching here at NAMM the Reverb Sites, which is not CITES, but sites, which is one of the big issues a lot of our sellers and dealers came to us with is that, hey, I use Reverb as one of my channels and I think it's great and I love how easy it is, I love the audience behind it. My own website, it was built maybe 15 years ago and I don't have a programmer on staff, I can't manage it, I can't update it. So what we've now launched is the ability to basically click a button and turn your Reverb store into your own website. So it'd be kevinsguitars.com. It's all powered by Reverb. All of the back-end functionality works through it, the e-commerce functionality. It's really clean and slick. I don't know if you can see a demo of it right over there. Utilizes our developer network of 40 full-time developers we have, graphic designers, everyone else.
So let's say I have a WordPress website, for example. It's going to be easy for me to integrate my Reverb shop into my website.
What it would actually do is, if you wanted to, it could replace your WordPress site. And for you right now, if you had a Reverb shop, we could hit 2 buttons and you'd have your own website. It'd take maybe 15 seconds, and it's a fully functioning, e-commerce capable, globally SEO optimized website.
Okay, great. Well, Kevin, it was great to have you on the show, and I wish you all the best to survive NAMM 2017, and good luck for the rest of the year, which is only started. So thank you very much for your time.
It was my pleasure. Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Bye.